The cameras flashed. The crowd froze.
And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession.
It wasn't a pop star, wasn't an actor. It was a man in a cowboy hat, covered in the dust of a Texas arena, who had just ridden a horse with zero rein contact to win a small fortune.
It's a collision of worlds that, usually stay very, very far apart. You have this high-grit reality of Western performance horses crashing headfirst into the high-glamour ecosystem of New York Fashion Week.
And that collision came with a price tag. Welcome to StarScope Report.
Hey, everyone, I'm Jordan.
I'm Zaina.
And today we are heading down to the dusty arenas of Weatherford, Texas. But, and this is a big but, we are taking a detour through the red carpets of New York City.
We have to.
Because today's deep dive is based on a headline that, it honestly sounds like fiction. $8,000 cowboy secret to winning.
It really does. It sounds like a movie script.
Yes.
We're talking high stakes, millions of dollars, and yeah, that collision between the gritty world of cutting horses and the high glamour world of supermodels. Exactly. We're unpacking the story of Adan Banuelos, and if you don't know the name, you've probably seen the face. He's the guy who kind of ushered in this whole Cowboy Curious movement.
And stole Bella Hadid's heart.
Right. But beyond the romance, this guy is a titan in his industry. We're talking over $8.2 million in lifetime earnings as of this month, January 2026.
And that number is so significant. It puts him in the absolute elite tier of professional horsemen, globally.
Yeah.
But what we're going to look at today isn't just the money or the breakup news that just dropped.
We will definitely get to that.
Oh, we'll get to that. But we want to understand how he got there. What is this secret to winning that the headline is talking about?
And let me tell you, the answer involves a phrase I usually say for when I'm merging onto the highway. Jesus, take the wheel.
Right. It's a bit more technical than that, but
Yeah.
essential.
So buckle up. We're going to reveal how a cutting horse champion convinced one of the world's most famous supermodels to trade the runway for a fifth-wheel trailer.
And the multi-million-dollar complication that makes their recent breakup so incredibly messy.
It's a story about legacy, discipline, and the real cost of living in the spotlight.
So let's start with him, Adan Banuelos.
Right. Before he was Bella Hadid's boyfriend, he was already royalty in the cutting horse world. So for those of us who think cutting is just something you do in line at the grocery store, what exactly are we looking at here?
Well, cutting is an equestrian sport that came from old-school ranch work. The whole goal is to separate or cut a single cow from the herd and then just keep it from getting back.
Sounds simple enough.
It requires an immense amount of agility and instinct from the horse. And Adan, he have been dominating this field. He was one of the youngest people ever inducted into the National Cutting Horse Association Riders Hall of Fame. It was back in 2017.
And the earnings are just wild. I said $8.2 million earlier. I was looking at the results from the 2025 Brazos Bash, which is this huge event.
Right.
He took second place on a horse named Spring Fling and walked away with $21,500.
For one run.
For one run.
And that consistency is everything. He was the #1 leading open rider for 4 years, 2018, 2020, 2021, and 2022. But to understand Adan, you really have to look at his father, Ascencion Banuelos.
Okay, this part of the story honestly gave me chills. Ascension's story is the literal American dream.
Yes, it really is. Ascencion emigrated from Mexico when he was just 13. He crossed the border completely alone, worked at a dairy milking cows, and, essentially started from zero.
From nothing.
And through sheer grit, he became the first Mexican-American inducted into the NCHA Hall of Fame.
So Adan didn't just inherit a business. He inherited this legacy of just defying the odds. He talks about his dad as his hero.
Oh, sure.
But let's get to the secret to winning. I teased the Jesus take the wheel comment.
Right.
Adan gave this interview where he explained that unlike other equestrian sports, in cutting, there is no power steering.
And that is the secret. And it's terrifying for a control freak. Once that horse enters the herd and isolates a cow, the rider has to put their hand down on the horse's neck.
So you just let go.
You let go of the reins. You have to trust the animal's IQ and its instinct completely.
He literally says it, Jesus take the wheel. You're sitting on this 1,000-pound animal that's moving like a cat, and you just have to trust it won't spin out.
Adan calls it horse sense. It's this deep psychological connection. He talks about one of his top horses, a mare named Allspice. She's earned over $500,000 herself.
Wow.
And he calls her a psychologist and a therapist. He says she can be a monster or a minnow, depending on what the situation needs.
A horse that's a therapist. I feel like I need an appointment. But that trust, that ability to let go of control, is what made him an $8 million earner. It's high risk, high reward.
Totally. And that philosophy of letting go is so interesting when you contrast it with the level of control it takes to manage a public image, especially when Hollywood comes knocking.
Which brings us right to the moment the two worlds collided. And if you love uncovering the stories behind the stats, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got a lot more deep dives into the lives of the rich and famous coming your way.
So let's pivot. Let's go to 2023. This is when that whole Cowboy Curious movement really kicked off.
The setting, Fort Worth, Texas. The scene, a horse show. And in walks Bella Hadid. Now, you have to remember, Bella wasn't there just to, look cute in boots. She had moved to Texas to get treatment for Lyme disease.
That context is so important.
She was stepping away from the runway, trying to heal. She was vulnerable.
Looking for a simpler life, probably.
So she's getting a cowboy hat fitted, and in walks Adan. She told Vogue it was like a gust of fresh air. But here's my favorite part of the story.
I know what you're going to say.
He had no clue who she was.
Which is almost hard to believe, right? But in that very specific bubble of Western performance horses, if you aren't a rider, you really aren't famous.
Yeah. He just thought she was, quote, gorgeous. He said later that if he'd known she was one of the most famous women on the planet, he would have just stuttered his way right out of the conversation.
And that anonymity was probably the exact thing she needed. It let them build a real connection based on the person, not the persona.
And boy, did she commit. We aren't just talking about visiting on weekends. Tell them where one of the world's highest paid models was living.
A fifth-wheel trailer.
A trailer?
For a good amount of time, yeah. She lived in Adan's fifth-wheel trailer before she bought her own property. It was a complete lifestyle shift. She didn't just date the cowboy.
She became one.
She immersed herself in the culture. Completely.
And she didn't just watch from the stands either. This is where the business synergy comes in. Bella launched Iron Heart Performance Horses.
Which is a great name. And a fun fact, Hadid actually means iron in Arabic.
See? Brilliant branding.
But she backed it up with real skill. She wasn't just a spectator. In 2024, she was named the NCHA Limited Age Event Rookie of the Year. She was actually competing on horses like Metallic Tito and Emma B. Smooth.
She was putting up scores. She got an 8th place finish in a major amateur category. Adan even posted about it, saying how proud he was. They were a power couple, but not in the Hollywood sense.
No, a power couple in the arena. They were buying high-value livestock together.
And that financial entanglement is so crucial to remember for later. These competition horses aren't pets. They are high-yield assets worth hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars.
They were building an empire.
But as we know, when you reach the top, there's often only one way to go. Stay tuned, because we're about to talk about the surreal Yellowstone cameo where art imitated life a little too closely.
Oh, yeah. And the massive breakup news that just dropped this week.
Okay, so we're in late 2024, rolling through 2025. The Cowboy Curious trend is at its absolute peak. Teton Ridge, this huge Western entertainment brand, releases a documentary series called Window to the West.
And Adan is the star of it. They held the premiere in New York City's meatpacking district, of all places.
I mean, you have to visualize this. Adan Banuelos, on a horse, cutting a cow, literally in the streets of Manhattan during Fashion Week.
It was the perfect visual for their relationship, right?
Oh.
The West just crashing into the East Coast to lead.
And then came the mainstream crossover event of the year.
Yellowstone. Season 5, Episode 13.
This aired back in December 2024, and watching it now, it's just incredibly meta.
Oh, it is. Bella Hadid is cast as Sadie, the girlfriend of the character Travis Wheatley, who's played by Taylor Sheridan.
The creator of the show.
Right. And who is sitting right there in the scene, Adan Banuelos, playing himself.
The dialogue was almost winking at the audience. There's a scene where Beth Dutton asks Sadie, "You the masseuse?" And Sadie snaps back, "Oh, very expensive one."
And then, defending her relationship with the older character, Sadie asks, "Have you ever seen him ride?"
Have you ever seen him ride? I mean, that is literally the ethos of Adan's career. His riding capability is what gives him his entire status.
It completely cemented them as the it couple of the Western world. But looking back on it now, in January 2026, it almost feels like a time capsule.
A time capsule of a moment that just couldn't last.
Exactly.
Because here we are, it's January 2026, and the headline is no longer about winning, it's about splitting.
The reports came out this week. Bella and Adan have officially ended their relationship after 2 years.
And the writing was on the wall for a few weeks, wasn't it? Bella was spotted in Aspen for the holidays.
Alone.
Alone.
Yep. And sources are citing the classic reasons: distance, conflicting schedules, and a tumultuous dynamic.
But this isn't just, we stopped texting. This is messy. Remember those horses?
That's the sticky part I mentioned earlier. They share ownership of all these expensive competition horses. Adan is still training horses for her brand, Ironheart.
So just imagine breaking up with someone, but they are the only person qualified to manage your multi-million-dollar investment portfolio.
That's basically the situation they're in. It raises a fascinating question about the intersection of business and romance in this very specific industry. Adan is based at his facility in Weatherford, which he expanded to over 90 acres, by the way.
He has to be there.
Every single day, riding 20, 30 horses. And Bella is an international supermodel and entrepreneur with her perfume line, Bella.
They're just two different worlds that collided for a really beautiful moment, but I guess ultimately physics took over.
And the reality of that no-power steering philosophy: in the arena, you let go and you trust. But in a relationship across two different time zones and two industries, sometimes letting go just means letting go.
It's kind of tragic, honestly. I was rooting for the cowgirl era.
Me too.
But Adan seems to be handling it the way he handles everything, by winning. He's back in the arena. At that 2025 Brazos Bash, he was still putting up huge scores.
Focused.
And Bella is in the city, processing, as the sources say.
Well, and we connect this to the bigger picture. It just shows that the Cowboy Curious trend might have a shelf life for people who are just visiting. But for people like Adan, it's not a trend.
It's his life.
It's a legacy. He was winning before the red carpet, and he's winning after it.
Don't miss a beat of the celebrity world hits. Subscribe now to keep up with the latest breakups, makeups, and shakeups.
What stands out to me is that final contrast. You have Adan right now, probably sitting on a horse in Weatherford, dust on his jeans.
Hand down on the neck of a horse.
On the neck of a horse like allspice, totally in control by being completely out of control.
And then you have Bella, miles and miles away, maybe looking at a photo of that fifth-wheel trailer and wondering if that was the closest she ever got to a simple life.
The secret to winning in the arena is trusting your partner. But with millions of dollars in horseflesh tying them together, you just have to wonder, is this truly the end of the Ironheart and the Cowboy King? Or is this just an intermission?
With that much money on the line, I have a feeling we've not seen the last of them in the same ring.
I think you might be right.
You've been listening to StarScope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.